I'm Louisiana estate planning attorney Paul Rabelais, and in this video we will address what a Louisiana usufruct is. I'll discuss both the technical and the practical. First, what is a usufruct? Well, the technical legal definition is that a usufruct is a right of limited duration on the property of another. Now, the features of the right vary depending in large part on whether the thing subject to a usufruct is a consumable item or a non-consumable item. So let's dig into that a little bit. Let's talk first about the usufruct of a consumable item. The most typical type of consumable asset for purposes of the usufruct is money. Money in a bank account, of course cash, but generally money in a checking account, savings account, or CD. Let me give you an example. Let's say a husband dies and leaves his wife the usufruct of $300,000 of money. And the term of that usufruct will last until his surviving wife either dies or remarries. And whenever that husband leaves the usufruct of something to his wife, or whenever anyone leaves the usufruct of something to someone else, they also designate the naked owners, who's entitled to own the asset when the usufruct terminates. So in this case, the husband left $300,000, or the usufruct of $300,000 to his wife until she dies or remarries, and he named his two children as the naked owners. So what does all that mean? It means that when the husband dies, his wife becomes the owner of the money because it was a consumable item. She becomes the owner of the money. But upon the first to occur of her remarriage or death, then she or her estate owes the naked owners $300,000. So if she remarries at the point of remarriage, she owes the naked owners $300,000, $150,000 to each of the two children. Or if she doesn't remarry, when she dies, her estate owes $300,000 to the naked owners. The question I always get is, what happens if it's not there? What happens if she spent it all and then she dies? Well, if there's nothing there, it's a debt that her estate will have to the naked owners, and if there's no asset there to satisfy the debt, guess who gets shortchanged? Okay, so that's the consumable item definition. Next, we want to talk about the usufruct of a non-consumable item. And there are several common examples of non-consumable items for purposes of the usufruct. Land, houses, shares of stock, vehicles, and furniture are all non-consumable items. These are defined as things that may be enjoyed without alteration of their substance. So let me give you another example. In the previous example, the husband left $300,000 of money, left the usufruct of $300,000 of money to his wife. But in this example, the husband leaves his wife 1,000 shares of stock. And at the time that the husband dies, that 1,000 shares of stock are worth $300,000. So when the husband dies, and again, the usufruct is under the same terms. It lasts until she dies or remarries. He names his two children under the naked owners. But now because it's a non-consumable item, it's a little bit different. So what happens is, after the husband dies, the wife has that usufruct of the 1,000 shares of stock. And let's say after the husband dies, that stock appreciates in value from $300,000 to $500,000. Well, when the wife later dies, that 1,000 shares of stock, which are now worth $500,000, the naked owners get the 1,000 shares of stock. They get the thing, they get the non-consumable item, even though it may have appreciated or depreciated in value. So why is the usufruct so common in Louisiana? It's common in Louisiana, and it's really virtually unknown in all of the other states, but it's common in Louisiana because when a married person dies without a will in Louisiana, and that's common, and the married person owned community property with their spouse when they died and they had children, then the intestate laws, the laws that apply when someone dies without a will, the intestate laws require that the surviving spouse inherit the usufruct of the deceased spouse's 1/2 interest in the community property. And the deceased spouse's children are the naked owners. So, and since so many people die in Louisiana without a will, the usufruct form of ownership is common. And since it is common and people get used to it, then we also see people who write wills include the usufruct form of ownership in their bequests to their spouse.